Welcome back, dear friends. So last video we have discussed the types of chemical equation. Today we are discussing how to balance a chemical equation or the steps involved in the balancing of a chemical equation or how to balance a chemical equation. So let us consider one example, that is this is the same example that is in your textbook too. So the example 1, it is steam is passed over heated iron to form magnetic oxide of iron and hydrogen. A reaction is given and we have to write the balanced chemical equation for the same. So what's the reaction? Steam is passed over heated iron to form magnetic oxide of iron and hydrogen. So what's the steps involved in the balancing of a chemical equation? The step 1, it is step 1. From the reaction, you have to identify the reactants and products and transform the same sentence in the form of a word equation. So, write the word equation. That's the first step. So, word equation means first you have to identify the reactants and the products, and in the form of words you have to write the equation. So, the reacting substance here, it is steam and iron. So, step 1, word equation, iron plus steam to form magnetic oxide of iron, plus hydrogen, So, what's a step 2? Second step, this is a word equation, and step 2 you have to write, that means a chemical equation, unbalanced chemical equation or skeletal equation for the same. So what do you mean by a chemical equation? What do you mean by unbalanced chemical equation? All these things in the previous video we have discussed. So chemical equation you have to write, we have to use the symbols of elements and compounds formulae and represent the same reaction. So iron, the symbol it is Fe, plus steam means H2O in gaseous state. Then magnetic oxide of iron having the formula Fe3O4. It's also known as magnetite, Fe3O4 plus hydrogen. Elementary gases means you have to write hydrogen means H2. Not H alone. These type of gases you have to write it as a molecule. So hydrogen means H2 you have to represent. So this is our step 2, that is write the unbalanced chemical equation. Then as step 3, just you can count, is it a balanced equation or unbalanced equation? Because our aim is balancing of a chemical equation. What do you mean by balancing of a chemical equation? Making the number of atoms of each element, making it as equal on both sides of the equation. So just check the number of elements are equal or not. So step 3, just to check the number of elements are equal on LHS or RHS. That means list out the number of atoms on both sides. So in this equation, how many elements are there? Iron is one element. Then next element here, it is hydrogen, and one more element here, it is oxygen. So list out the number of atoms on LHS and RHS. The subscript that represents the number here, iron, it is on left hand side, it is 1, and right hand side, how many iron? It is 3 here. Then what about hydrogen? Left hand side it is 2, and right hand side it can see it is 2 itself, and left hand side how many oxygen? It is 1, right hand side it is 4. You can see the number of atoms of iron, it is 1 and 3, oxygen it is 1 and 4 here. That means it is not equal. So this is an unbalanced chemical equation or skeletal chemical equation. So our aim to balance the same equation. So this is the step up to step 3. Then what's the next? So as step 4, how to balance this equation? So step 4, Write the equation Fe plus H2O gaseous state to form Fe3O4 plus H2. Then, in order to balance this equation, you start from the biggest formula. Start balancing, that means you have to select the biggest formula in this one. So, before the same itself, just you can put, that means all these things in a square box. Why? Because in order to make the number of atoms, why I am putting, that means this square or these boxes like this. Why? Because in order to make the number of atoms equal on both sides, you have no provision to touch the formula of the compound. That means if you want to make, that means 4 oxygen here, you do not have the provision to put 1 4 here, because if you are changing the subscript here means that formula will be altered. So don't touch the formula after writing the unbalanced chemical equation. So you put the same in a box, because don't make any change in the formula, because H2O means it is water. If you are putting 1 2 here means it became another compound H2O2 hydrogen peroxide. So don't touch the formula of the compound. Then how to balance the equation? So from this equation, in order to make the number of atoms equal, you consider the biggest formula in this one. So which is the biggest formula here? You can see here it is 1 iron. Here you can see 3, the total number of atoms, 2 plus 1, 3. Here total number of atoms, it is 3 plus 4, it is 7. Here it is 2. So biggest formula is this one. Then in that biggest formula, which element is more? Oxygen is more. So you start balancing with oxygen. So oxygen is how much here? It is 4. So to make 4 oxygen in the left hand side, you don't put 4 here. You have the provision to put a 4, the number 4 in front of the formula. So to balance a chemical equation, you can put whole number coefficients in front of the formula. Don't change the subscript. You have the provision to put coefficients in front of the formula. So when I put, in order to make oxygen number 4 here, in order to make 4 oxygen to this side, you can put 1 4 here. Then the meaning is this one. Then now how many oxygen, how to count it? 1 4 here means hydrogen number is altered now. The hydrogen number now here it is 4 into 2. You have to count it. So number of hydrogen now it became 4 into 2, that is 8. Oxygen number it became 4 into 1, that is 4. That is oxygen is balanced. Now oxygen is balanced, it has 4 and this side also 4. Then what about hydrogen? Hydrogen number you can see it as 4 into 2, here it is 8. This side only 2, so to make it 8, you can put 1 4 here too. So number of hydrogen is balanced, it is 4 into 2, that is 8. Then you can see here it is iron number, it is 3 this side. So in order to make 3 iron, you can put 1 3 here also. So this is the balanced chemical equation. After the same, you can check just the equation is balanced or not. Check the correctness of the equation. So for your examination, all the steps are not compulsory. You just balance it and finally that means you just check the correctness of the equation. So the elements iron, hydrogen, oxygen. So just to check the number of atoms on the left hand side it is 3. Here also it is 3. Hydrogen number you can see 4 into 2 it is 8. This side 4 into 2 it is 8. Oxygen 4 and this side also it is 4. The equation is balanced. Then after getting the balanced chemical equation, if we are writing the state simple, that means the balanced equation is 3Fe plus 4H2O gives Fe3O4 plus 4H2. Then in this equation, if we are writing the state symbols, that is iron is in solid state, H2O is in steam, we have mentioned, that's why gaseous state, Fe3O4 it is solid and H2 it is gas. Representing so means the equation become more informative. So these things we call it as these SG, these type of subscript we call it as state symbols. So after getting the balanced chemical equation, writing the state symbols too, the equation become more informative. So these are the steps involved in the balancing of a chemical equation. So this method of balancing a chemical equation, that we call it as hit and trial method. Hit and trial method. So in order to balance a chemical equation, what are the, according to hit and trial method or trial and error method, what all steps we are doing? Step 1, writing the sentence means we are transforming the same into a word equation. Then writing the unbalanced chemical equation. Then there we are finding the biggest formula and there which element is more. Start balancing from there and balancing different elements and finally writing the balanced chemical equation. So we can consider some more examples for balancing a chemical equation. So the second example, the second reaction it is methane burns in air to form, or combustion of methane to form carbon dioxide and water. So the reaction is this one. Methane burns to form carbon dioxide and water. So how to write? So what is the reacting substance? Methane. Methane means natural gas, you can say. That means that burns. Burning means, or combustion means combining with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide plus water. So as step 2 I have to mention, that means the equation, chemical equation. Methane, the formula is CH4. How to write CH4, that you will learn in chapter number 4, carbon and its compounds. There we will discuss how to write methane. So the formula of methane is CH4 plus oxygen to form carbon dioxide plus water. Then immediately you put the same in a square box. Why? Because in boxes you keep enclose the formulas in boxes. Why? Because we have no provision to touch the formula. In order to balance the number of atoms, you can just put whole number coefficients in front of the formula. So here you have to select step 3. You just start balancing step 3. So here consider the biggest formula. Which is the biggest formula here? Here it is 1 plus 4, 5 number of atoms, total number it is 5. So you can start balancing from here. There hydrogen is more, hydrogen number it is 4 here. So this side only 2. So in order to make it 4 means you can put 1 2 here. So now the number of hydrogen it become, that means number of hydrogen it is 4. Automatically that means oxygen is changed. Oxygen it is 2 into 1, 2 plus 2. So this side total how many oxygen? 2 plus 2. Here 2 and here it is also 2. So here this side only 2. So you can put 1, 2 here also. So the balanced equation. So the balanced equation we can write it as CH4 plus 2O2 gives CO2 plus 2H2O. So for your examination, all the steps are not so compulsory. Our aim to balance different equations. So write a balanced chemical equation. That's only our aim. So keep these things in your mind, and later after writing the balanced equation, you just check the correctness of equation, because any one element is missed means the answer will be completely wrong. So you just check is it properly balanced or not. After balancing the same, write the physical state, then equation become more informative. So CH4 gaseous state plus methane plus oxygen plus forms carbon dioxide plus water. So this is the balanced chemical equation. Then next, one more example. To balance the chemical equation, example 3. Nitrogen combines with hydrogen to form ammonia gas. Nitrogen combines with hydrogen to form ammonia gas. So how to balance the chemical equation? So word equation means reacting substance. It is nitrogen plus hydrogen to give ammonia. So what are the things we have to write? Nitrogen, it is a gas, so we have to write it is diatomic, that is N2 we have to write. Hydrogen also we have to write it as diatomic molecule element, that means the gases, we have to write it as H2 here. H alone it is not stable, so you have to write it as H2. Ammonia having the formula it is NH3. So you enclose the same in boxes. Why? Because no provision to touch. You don't put any number here. There is no provision to touch the formula. So how to write a balanced chemical equation for the same? So all these cases, that means every case means hit and trial method perfectly we cannot follow. Using our trial and error method only, using the logic and balancing the same. This equation, it is very simple to balance when we are considering N2 this side. So when you are putting 1 2 here means nitrogen it become 2, hydrogen automatically it become 2 into 3 it is 6. So you can put 1 3 here also. So hydrogen number it become 3 into 2, that is 6. So the equation is balanced now. The balanced equation it is N2 plus 3H2 gives 2NH3. So that means the physical state is writing means nitrogen gas, hydrogen gas to form ammonia gas. So this is the balanced chemical equation. So one more example, that means sometimes usually in your examination, sometimes the skeletal equation is given and you have to balance only. Sometimes the reaction is given, we have to write the equation. So the reaction is given like this, means how to write a balanced chemical equation. Aluminium sulfate reacts with, so the reaction is this one, aluminium sulfate, example 4, aluminium sulfate reacted with sodium hydroxide to form aluminium hydroxide plus sodium sulfate. So a sentence is given, so means how to write a balanced chemical equation. For simply I have written, that means the word equation itself. The reaction is given in the sentence form like this. Aluminium sulfate reacts with sodium hydroxide to form aluminium hydroxide and sodium sulfate. So we have learned earlier, that means how to write chemical formula. Formulas are compulsory to know. We have studied in class 9th and that means already studied how to write chemical formula. So we know aluminium sulfate having the formula Al2SO4 thrice aluminium sulfate plus sodium hydroxide NaOH gives aluminium hydroxide AlOH thrice plus sodium sulfate Na2SO4. Why? Because we know how to write aluminium sulfate. I think you remember the same, how to write aluminium sulfate. I told you, you have to count, just to count it. That means aluminium 13th element. So 2, 8, 3. So it forms the ion, it is Al3 plus. And we know sulfate ion stands for SO4 2 minus. So how to make the formula already mentioned. Al, here it is plus 3 and here it is minus 2. Here it is, so the valency it is 3 and 2. Cross over the valencies, we are getting the formula as Al2SO4 thrice. So we are making the formula like this, that you are remembering, I think so. So our formula is this one. Unbalanced chemical equation is this one. So you just check, is it a balanced equation or unbalanced equation? Check the equation is balanced or unbalanced. So how to calculate the number of atoms in this case? So just write, that means the equation that we got it, Al2SO4 thrice plus NaOH gives AlOH thrice plus Na2SO4. Then check the number of atoms are equal or not. If it is an unbalanced equation, means we have to balance. So list out the number of atoms on both sides. Element, LHS, RHS. So element aluminium. How many aluminium on the left side? Here it is 2. And right side how many? It is 1. The next element it is sulfur. So sulfur how many? That means there is a bracket and 3 times. So how to count it? 1 into 3. So sulfur on the left side it is 3 and right side sulfur it is 1. Oxygen how much? Oxygen you can see 4 and that means there is a bracket thrice. So that means you read it as 4 into 3. So the number of oxygen here it is 12. Number of oxygen here it is 12. 12 plus 1 here also there, that is 13. On the left side it is 13. Right side how many? 1 into 3. 3 plus 4. 3 plus 4, that means we can write it as 7. 3 plus 4, that is 7. Then next element, aluminum, sulfur, oxygen, sodium. Sodium you can see, that means here it is 1 on the left side it is 1, right side it is 2. Then what about hydrogen? Hydrogen you can see here it is 1, left side it is 1, right side how many? 3. So all these cases you can see the number of atoms are not equal on both sides of the equation. So our aim to balance this equation. So check, is it an unbalanced equation? Then you try to balance the same. So how to balance this equation? You just enclose these formulas in boxes. Why? Because there is no provision to touch the formula. We have to put whole number coefficient in front of the formula only. So this type of equation. So considering the biggest formula you can consider, or any polyatomic ions are common on both sides. So such a way also we can write. You can see this equation SO4 3 times this side and here SO4 1 time only. Or we can consider oxygen. This is the biggest formula, that is their oxygen is more, 4 into 3. Is it clear? So you can start balancing with oxygen, or SO4 group 3 times here, here SO4 1 time only. So you can put 1 3 here, this side 1 3. So number of sulfur become 3, oxygen become, here it is 12. Automatically sodium is changed to 3 into 2, it is 6. So you put 1 6 here. Now oxygen, sodium becomes 6 this side. And in this formula you can see 1 2 here aluminium and put 1 2 here also aluminium. Then later you check correctness. Check correctness of equation. Check correctness. Check correctness. Element, LHS, RHS. So you can see that element aluminium. Now left side it is 2. Right side it is, how to read it? That means 2 into 1. 1 2 we are putting here, means that is common to all these elements. So number of aluminium here it is 2. Then what about sulfur? Sulfur you can see 3 this side, 1 into 3, 3. And this side how much? This 3. So 3 into 1, 3 this side. Then what about oxygen? Oxygen here you can see 4 into 3 it is 12 plus 6 into 1 that is 18. Left side how many oxygen? It is 18. Right side how much? 2. Here this is 1 into 3, 3. 3 into 2. Oxygen number it is. Here 3 oxygen into 2 also, that is 6 this side, plus 3 into 4, 12. So 12 plus 6, 18. The next element, aluminum, sulfur, oxygen, sodium. Sodium you can see that 6 this side, and here also 3 into 2 it is 6. So 6, 6. The next one it is hydrogen. Hydrogen, this side it is 6, left side it is 6, and this side it is 2 into 3 it is 6. So all the number of atoms we made it as equal. So that means now the equation is balanced. So after getting the balanced equation, just to express the state symbols too, that means our balanced equation is Al2SO4 thrice plus 6NaOH gives 2AlOH thrice plus 3Na2SO4. So after getting the balanced equation, you just express the state symbols too. So this is actually a precipitation reaction. So aqueous solution means we are using water as the solvent and dissolving that salt. So we are taking the aqueous solutions of aluminum sulfate and sodium hydroxide. So the state symbol, the solution means water is using as a solvent and solution means AQ, the state symbol. So aluminum sulfate aqueous plus sodium hydroxide also solution. So we can write it as AQ here. And aluminum hydroxide is precipitated. So a precipitate formation, the state symbol downward arrow. Na2SO4 is aqueous. So this is the balanced chemical equation. So state symbols. Solid means we will represent it as S like this. Liquid means we will use it as L. Gas means we will use the state symbol G. And a precipitate is formed. Precipitate formation, we will use a downward arrow. A gas is evolved or evolved gases, we will represent with upward arrow. Then aqueous solution means we will just represent the symbol AQ. So this way state symbol is also using means the equation become more informative. So these are the some examples for how to balance a chemical equation. So the next video more equations are there that we will solve it, and along with this CBSE 2020, that means this section it is asked, that means 5 cases it is given. You have to complete the reaction and write the balanced chemical equation, that including that question we will discuss in the coming video. So if you like it, you please subscribe the channel, and that means that will means really a lot to me. So you please subscribe the channel, and thank you for watching the same.